all about disrupting technology that people can't do.
We're specifically focused on the end user, bringing solutions through power tool accessories. We want to protect the end user, make the job easier. We want to make their tools last longer, let them get more holes per charge, more runtime out of their batteries, and make it an overall good experience. So really we're able to focus on those power tool accessories and how we make the working world a better place, safer, faster, easier, and let them use their tools to their maximum capabilities.
What we're launching here today is we came up with a brand new Carbide formulation that's harder and it's more impact resistance. So it can take the heat when you're cutting and hitting debris, and it also in clean wood lasts significantly longer. A single blade can significantly extend the battery life, right?
So we've built what we call a nasty sandwich, right? So it's filled, it's a 2x12 dimensional lumber filled with 40 quarter-inch lag bolts. I got 2 layers of shingles, 2 layers of flashing, topped with a piece of plywood. The next generation tracking point, let's see how we do.
That's one pass. And Steve, show them how clean that cut is.
So you can see. All right, let's keep going. It's still easy to control. I still got more gas in the tank. We can flip this around and keep going.
So that blade starts shipping next month. And guess what? The original blade was $10. Guess how much this blade's going to retail for? $10. That's version number 8.
Hi there, everyone. My name is Vince. And while we visited with Diablo at the World of Concrete, we saw a whole bunch of new technology. From innovative tooth geometry on a new-to-world Recip saw blade, which is something you've never seen before, to metal cutting drill bits that are an all-in-one solution, no matter what type of metal you're working with. Although the most interesting thing about the Diablo booth was the one thing you will not see. Hear me out. While some competitors have decided to take the what's old is new direction with some of their new offerings, Diablo has said no. We're going to improve upon new solutions through innovations in carbide geometry and quality. Later in this video, you'll see a head-to-head test, Diablo Tool versus the competitor's new product. I was so amazed at what I was seeing, but thought to myself, I don't think this test tells the whole story. Stay tuned, because I'll weigh in later in the video on how this affects you.
The next thing we're going to talk about is, I think you guys know that we also have the Freud brand of product, and Freud brand is really designed for cutting tools for the industrial market. So what we did is we took that technology and we brought it down to portable saw, both table and miter saws. So when you're having it, when you cut it, it actually polishes it. In fact, if you go back with 220 grit sandpaper, you're going to ruin the finish of what the saw blade will cut. So that's significant technology, significant breakthrough, significant efficiency. Here's the blade, shipping now, $19.97. All right.
Tear out is 0. So there's no additional work required to fit this in place. I tell you what, one of the hardest materials to cut, chip-free, melamine. Look at that. Usually this would be all chipped up, and you could do things like put tape, turn it over, but perfect cut without all those additional steps. We're about to cut this piece. It's just pre-stained or pre-finished.
Pre-stained, birch veneer, very thin veneer, prone to chipping out, tearing out.
We try to cut this with a conventional blade, you're seeing all this tear out here. What can Diablo do for you? That's exciting. These blades are awesome. A 60-tooth blade from Diablo, I feel like I used to spend $40-something. This was what, 30 bucks?
$19.97.
We got the foremost expert in cutting metal in the Diablo booth.
We just cut 24 inches with the Diablo Cermet blade, we're gonna have no problem cutting hundreds of feet of heavy gauge metal with Diablo Cermet.
This blade's already made how many cuts?
A dozen cuts.
A dozen cuts. You're gonna make one more for us.
We can do that.
Beautiful, let's do it.
Still cutting well, still cutting cool. You're gonna get plenty of life out of that blade with fast cuts. 24 inches, 3/8 plate, you cut it 30 seconds.
I see you're cutting with the saw set at full depth. Is that how they should run this blade, or should they be setting it for the thickness of the material?
You're cutting wood, you wanna set your depth, you don't need to go deeper, and you're gonna get a better finish. When you're cutting metal, if you go full blade depth, you're gonna make a faster cut, and you're gonna get longer blade life.
Beautiful. And if you didn't know, now you know. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it.
We're all about listening to users and listening to the feedback that they're giving us. And a very standard application for plumbing for anybody cutting PVC and ABS is how do you do it, how do you do it clean, how do you get it to a fitting, and how do you move on. ABS is getting more and more popular out, and we're showing inside of here there's ABS, and that's harder to cut. And that actually has a belt point you're going to see that causes problems for users out there.
Vince, what we have here is our PVC and plastics blade. What we found is a lot of people have transitioned when you're cutting through PVC or ABS to a one-handed Recip saw. And we thought that we needed to improve upon that blade to make it more effortless to cut through, quicker, and leave less rework required at the end. So just let the weight and the tool do the work, and the blade engages smoothly and easily. Very little resistance, the rework is not required, and you see the competitive blade is still cutting, and it takes enough time that that can actually melt these two pipes together. So when comparing the two, you can see the burrs that come from the competitor blade. That will all have to be reworked versus the Diablo. You have a clean finish on the edge of the pipe ready to go.
Is this specific to this blade? Like these look offset and chamfered.
It is very specific to this blade, very specific to this application, designed specifically for that PVC and ABS to cut through and leave that clean edge on it. Speed is there, finish is there, and you're on to the next part of the job.
There was a big call to help from first responders. Cars are using more and more advanced steels, lighter weight, but higher strength steels, such as boron. And things like jaws of life can't get in there and fix it, especially when you get to beams. That's what we're showing you right here. You got your A beam, B beam, C beam, all those beams, jaws of life just can't get through. Diablo responded with the first carbide tip reciprocating blade. And so instead of spending up to $30,000 on a jaws of life, now you go for 15 bucks by carbide tip Recip blade that you can rip through it.
A lot of the fire services, fire and rescue extrication specialists, they love this blade, but there's so many things that we want to continue to listen to the end user and come up with an even better solution. So that's where we launched the fire and rescue blade. It has a tapered design at the front of the nose, allow you to plunge into the windshield, plunge into different areas of the cars that are hard to access in order to extricate a patient. But also it's a more robust blade. So if you take these two and compare the thickness of the two blades, we made it a little bit more robust so you can tackle all of the different profiles in this type of B pillar, A pillar that you may find in the cars that are now using high strength, low mass steels. and that blade is still ready to go for another cut. So what we want to ensure is that they can cut through the A, B's, and C pillars, get a patient out of the car, move on to the next piece of that craft site.
So what I would want all of you to see is, you know, you're looking at it on the outside, but look at all of these layers of steel that make up this A pillar. 5 layers of steel are making up this unit. We just cut through that. Every tooth is intact. You seeing that? Years ago, to make it through this first layer, or maybe 1 or 2 layers, we probably would have gone through a pack of metal blades.
25 pack, right?
Easily to get through this.
10 years ago, it worked, right? Because it was mostly mild steel, but as they add more high strength alloys to it, those bimetal blades can't keep up with this type of material.
The other thing is that we're going through this dry. You're not even using any type of lubricant, anything to cool this down. I guess that black ice coating is working.
Yes, sir, protects it.
Amazing.
Great to
Always,
see.
every year I come back, there's no way I could be amazed again, but every time they amaze me over and over again.
We came out with a full carbide head. It's about 7 times more carbide, and it can withstand up to 1,800 degrees. So now when you're drilling through rebar, you need to be able to handle up to 1,200 degrees. So this bit can take the heat. This is the benchmark in the market, say that a common SDS Plus, that costs around $8. This is going to be around $12 to $13. So not a big price, but the performance is radical and significant.
My snap lock adapter, gonna quickly connect to my bit. All right, so we're locked in, ready to go. Lock that in. We're gonna drill 10 inches deep. You're gonna see a little bit of debris here on the surface, but more importantly, all that dust is gonna come out of the hole while I'm drilling. So I'm done with my hole. My flutes aren't all packed up, so I can easily remove that. So deep hole drilling, I'm not fighting all that dust that's packed into my flute. Now I can get my concrete screw if I need. Again, inside of that hole is already clean. We've already got that certified with anchor companies that they could go from drill. To fill. So, and if I need to go in a smaller diameter, more of the interior guys, I don't need deep hole drilling. We're inside, we're overhead. Again, I can quickly change from that larger bit. So 3/8 diameter.
There are so many benefits, but I think the one that's kind of glossed over is the actual speed in which you can actually drill the hole. Like, in addition to it being cleaner, less particulate in the air, you're even drilling the holes faster because there's none of that dust in the way of the drill, the cutting head.
Yeah, when there's no dust here, you're not just grinding that over. So not only got a 4-cutter head that can drill longer in regular concrete, it can penetrate and go through rebar, and when you're removing that, it's gonna last even longer because you don't have all that abrasive material in there grinding away at your head.
Last year, we launched our Demo Demon blade, and this lasts 10 times longer versus the other blade for $15, right? We're gonna take that same carbide formulation that we put on the Diablo, we're gonna upgrade here to our Demo Demon. We're gonna show the batteries on the back.
In this test, what you might not realize is that this is a test of Diablo's Demon thin kerf saw blade versus the competition's thick kerf saw blade. What has happened is the saw with the thick kerf blade was unable to make a single full-length cut through the engineered lumber, while the Diablo blade goes on to make multiple passes. Years ago, a thick kerf blade would have been considered a more accurate blade, but that was a time when circular saws were still courted. To overcome the runtime and power obstacle of battery-operated circ saws, Diablo decided to go thin kerf. This would create less resistance through the material you'd be cutting. To deal with the accuracy obstacles with thin kerf, Diablo used laser cut kerf technology as well as tracking point tooth geometry, which allows for a fast and accurate circular saw cut. My question for all of you would be, if you have a blade that cuts as well as thick kerf, the blade lasts as long, if not longer, but also maximizes the life of your cordless tools, and more importantly, the batteries, why would you choose thick kerf? Am I missing something? Or is thick kerf just a way to put a new polish on old technology?
So there you go. Demo demon. So that's powerful. And think about the productivity when you can do double the cuts for one charge.
Now, it's one thing to see a demonstration at the manufacturer's booth. It's another to test it for yourself and have your own set of results and data. Let us know down in the comments if you'd like us to duplicate this test so you can make a better informed decision when you're buying your next circular saw blade. Okay, back to the show.
And so you go to any retailer in the country, in the world, they're gonna have black oxide, titanium, and cobalt, right? And the performance is very, very weak. Tools have increased significantly, but the quality hasn't performed. So what we did is we re-engineered, awakened the industry by coming up with one radical design that replaces the need to have black oxide, titanium, and cobalt, and allowing the users to just get one bit for any application they need.
So we looked at it and said, okay, how do we simplify the situation? So number one, it required performance, right? We're not gonna put it out on Diablo if it's not gonna bring a true solution for the end user. Number two, we decided, look, why have three when I can make one bit at such a high quality that it's gonna drill any of those materials that we talked about, stainless, hardened, mild steels, any kind of composites, even the regular hardwoods or softwoods, and it's gonna get the job done on all of those at a premium performance level on where the market is today.
Gotcha. Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
What am I seeing here? Is this from use or is this?
No.
Is that a coating?
This is actually intentional. This is actually a coating, right? So, and what that coating does, it protects all those special grinds and geometries that we have underneath that coating, so it delivers maximum performance, right? Heat's the biggest enemy of any cutting tool. So as that bit's cutting, we want to keep that heat away from that bit, keep it sharp, and let it do its job. So if we want to test it out, I got a piece of 1/8 inch stainless steel, 3/16 mild steel. We got a little sandwich here, and we can go to work and you can see how it cuts, the size of the chips, the pigtails that it throws off.
So this is stainless and this is mild steel.
304 stainless.
I would love
and
to.
then mild steel underneath.
You know me, I always love running the demos.
Hey, let's go.
All right.
Let me chuck it up for you. Lower RPM is recommended for stainless and hardened steels, right? You want to let that tool, you don't want to generate too much heat.
Okay.
You know, if you're dipping in a wax or using some sort of cutting fluid, always going to extend the life of the accessory.
Okay.
But in this case, we're just gonna let you go to work. There you go. Let it rip. All right, just keep it vertical, that constant pressure. And you want to look for the size of that chip. So you really, as you see that chip, the bigger the chip, you optimize that pressure and then just let it eat. And so you're making great progress through that stainless. And then as it cuts through that stainless, once you hit that mild, you're gonna see a little bit bigger chips just due to the metallurgy of the material. But you can feel that, right?
Yeah.
And it's not just about one hole, right? We're gonna drill one hole here, but it's about over the life of the bit. And that's the other thing, the consistency and our grinding capabilities. All right, give me a little bit more 90 degrees there. Lean forward a little bit.
Am I?
Yeah, you're leaning back. There we go. Yep. Yeah, come up a little bit. There we go.
You know what it is?
What's
Just
that?
To be honest with you. You should have gave me a little step stool
Sorry,
over
no,
there.
you got this. You're almost there. I can hear it. But I mean, it's again, if you didn't have this bit, you're going to be sitting on this material for minutes.
Oh, of course.
You know, hey, there you go. Yeah.
I gotta be honest with you.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting, I was waiting to go through the stainless.
Right.
I didn't realize I was even into the mild steel yet.
Right. right? And again, if you're on high-speed steel, you can drill faster. You could go to 1,000, 1,000 RPMs or a little bit more than that. As long as you can control it.
I got you.
And then the consistency is one of the biggest things that this bit delivers.
I think that it did really. Even after I got through the stainless, I feel like it still cut pretty rapid through the mild.
Oh, it'll fly through.
But what you're saying is that if we were to optimize for the mild, like maybe go speed 2, it would go through even faster.
Now, on all these drills, it's trigger, right? It's
you trigger control.
Yeah.
Sure.
Trigger control on your RPM. So you wouldn't going to go all the way up to 2,200, but if you went to 1,000, 1,500 on mild, it expedites it.
I got you. Well, this is why this trigger is infinitely variable.
There you go.
You got to use prudence. Trigger controls, the best trigger controls right here is your finger.
Yeah, but for the true industrial MRO, they can put it on a drill press, a little cutting fluid. It's hundreds of holes.
I have a question.
Yep.
So compared to a standard drill bit, like what's because this is premium, what's the premium price point?
So great question. Again, we talked about black oxide, titanium, cobalt. Typically,
and I always think that cobalt for metal is where you want to be if you want a long-lasting bed.
That's correct. But then if you take it and try to use it in a mild steel, or again a composite, or let's say a piece of wood, then it's super brittle. So it has tendencies to break. If the end user is not really careful with it, it can break.
There's nothing like trying to get that cobalt bit out of a hole it's broken into.
That's it.
Yeah.
So we looked at it again. We wanted to hit it in the market right in between titanium and cobalt.
Oh, so wait a minute.
So you're not
telling me this is north of cobalt?
I'm not telling. I'm telling you it is south of cobalt, right between titanium and cobalt, but delivers. We tested it in both mild steel and stainless. It delivers up to 30x the life of those bits that are out there today.
That's amazing. And I feel like hearing it from Steven first. Then smash the like button. Free for you to do. Doesn't cost you a dime. Plus you'll get 7 years of good luck. Let us know down in the comment section below. What are you using to drill holes in stainless and mild steel? Are you using multiple styles of bits? Or would you be interested in something like this premium bit from Diablo? We want to know. Leave it all below. With that, I'm going to say I appreciate you and everyone for being here. Thanks a lot, everybody. Hope to see you all on the next one.